Hey guys, Sam here.
And Angela, and welcome to our channel.
Welcome to another video working on our project RV. In the previous video, we brought you guys along for servicing the coolant system, plus serpentine belt, tensioners, and idler pulleys. What are we doing today? What kind of fun are we getting to have?
We are going to change the oil and change the transmission fluid.
And transmission filter. Which means we get to drop a pan. As far as oil changes go, this F53 Ford chassis is nothing different from most other vehicles. You want to take the oil filler cap off at the top of the engine to allow air into the system, crawl underneath it with a drain pan, a wrench, take the drain bolt out, empty it all out, and swap out the filter. What we're going to be adding in, and I may decide to quickly swap this out and then show you in an operation rather than waiting till next oil change. But what we're going to be adding in is called a Fumoto oil drain valve. It is a very popular add-on, especially for these engines, to allow you to change the oil much easier and much cleaner. Apparently the F53 chassis with the V10 engine is notorious for having the drain for the oil pan right above the axle and in a bad spot. So having this guy allows you to put a quick disconnect in there and add a tube for much cleaner and easier oil changes. Like I said, I will try my best to get underneath there and quickly take out the original bolt, put this thing in place, and then show you guys how it operates. At least give some more value to the video. Otherwise, let's grab our tools and get underneath the RV. Alright, we're underneath the RV, and as you can tell with my head right here at the sway bar, it's tight quarters. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and remove the original drain plug and put in the Fumoto valve as fast as possible, because otherwise this is going to be a big mess. I'm going to put our drain pan on top of the axle and the sway bar so it's as close as possible to that oil pan and hopefully not just end up wearing or eating the used oil. To take out the original plug, it's a 16mm socket or wrench size, and let's just get it done. Now that completely blocks your view, and it blocks my access with the ratchet. So let me go ahead and break this loose, and then I'll put the pan up there and take it out the rest of the way by hand. That's nice. Whoever did the oil change last did not crank it down. That is so nice. I'm going to do this as quick as I can, but I'm going to be doing this blind, so this is going to be pretty rough, honestly. Old one's out. Fumoto valve is kind of sort of getting threaded in. Out with the pan, and we now have the Fumoto valve put in place. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it up properly as the instructions say, and then we'll be able to show you guys the benefit of having this guy and how much cleaner it is, how much easier it is to do. Alright, so the way this works is you have this black rubber cap that stays on here all the time except when you want to change your oil. You take it off, and now you can stick a piece of 1/2-inch tubing over top of that. And now this can go straight down to your drain pan. Whenever you're ready to open the valve, you remove the little black cap that I just took off before this, push the lever down, switch it over, and it pours straight out and into your pan. It is so much easier and cleaner and just makes changing your oil, I guess, enjoyable. Alright guys, while the oil is almost done draining, I'm going to go ahead and take off the oil filter, which sits pretty much right across from the drain plug. I have an oil filter wrench that I'm going to use to crack this loose. Once I've done that, then I'm going to do something a little bit different. That is a nice little life hack that I saw from other videos on how to change the filter without having the oil fall all over the place. I think someone else tightened this filter that didn't do the plug. It's pretty tight. It's slowly moving. Either that or I'm rotating the RV. My life hack is going to not work because I can't get the filter off. It's leaking because I've kind of tore up the side of the filter trying to get it loose. That is insanely tight. Alright, now that we have the oil filter finally broken loose, the life hack is to use a grocery bag, push it up all the way up there around the filter, basically stick the filter in the bag if you can, and then twist it off the rest of the way, and most of the oil should pour into the bag. At least that's what we hope. I don't know if that's happening or not, but that's what we hope. Yeah, it didn't really work too good. We're ready to apply the new oil filter. I've got a little bit of oil on my finger. I'm just coating the O-ring here. And then otherwise, put it up into place and hand thread it, making sure you don't cross thread at all. And then tighten it down just a little bit once you're done. Don't do it as crazy tight as the other people had it. The oil has finished draining. So I'm going to take this little stainless steel lever. This is the actual valve. Pulling it over. Put it into place. And then I'm putting the safety clip that you also get over here. Just like that. Then the last thing to do is to remove our tubing. And then to put our protective black cap over the end. I just dropped it in the whole pan.
No, you didn't.
I did. There's an extra one. It's just on the table out there.
Hello?
Yeah, boys. Is anybody around? Oh yeah, now they're silent. Alright, we've retrieved our second cap. Just put the little rubber cap on top of the valve. Push it all the way in place. And you are good to go. So the beauty of this system and why I feel confident in it is that it not only has a little lever that locks and detents into place, it then has this plastic clip that holds it to keep it secure, and then it also has this rubber cap as a third fail-safe to make sure this doesn't have any issues. Of course, it's going to be good to take a look at this every once in a while as you can, which you can see through the wheel well, just to make sure that this plastic cap or the little rubber cap haven't fallen off. But a lot of people use these, and a lot of people say they are fantastic. Alright, so we are back up above the ground. We're ready to go ahead and refill this with oil. What I've purchased are individual quarts of oil. This is Motorcraft name brand synthetic oil blend. It is exactly what is recommended for the engine. To make things easier, because they did not make things easier for you to fill this up, because that fill point is at the top up underneath there, I've purchased several of these cheap little flexible hose adapters that go on quarts of oil. This will allow us to finagle it up in there and squeeze it and empty each quart into the engine as we go. Got a whole case and several funnels, so let's get squeezing. They don't give you much room to pour a whole quart up there, so these cheap little funnel adapters are really, really handy. We had beans last night, didn't we? First quart is done. now we can move on to the next. Alright, I'm going to test my skills and see if I can pour one of these without having to put the funnel on. You see, it would be great or terrible. Okay, that works. Alright, so you probably don't need little flexible funnels with this particular setup, but they were like 96 cents a piece and pretty fun to play with. We just filled it up to the listed capacity and I put the oil cap back on. I'm going to start the engine, let it run for about a minute, turn it off, wait for it to drain, and then we'll do our final fluid checks and add oil if need be. You guys ready to see a really tiny short dipstick? As tall as I am. Alright, the oil is all done and filled to capacity. Now we get to have a little extra fun by draining the transmission and dropping the pan to change the filter next. I have my little tote of toys here. I'm getting ready to crawl into the RV because it's time to drain the transmission into this pan, the fluid that is, and then we're going to take the transmission pan off to get access to the filter. Alright, we're here at the transmission pan. The drain bolt is right here. It's a 13 millimeter. We're going to crack it loose with this ratchet wrench, pull the pan over, and pull the plug and get out of the way to drain the entire transmission fluid. It still has pretty good color. That's nice to see. It is a kind of a dark red, so that's good. It's not black and it's not brown. Alright, the fluid is almost completely drained out, so I have a 10 millimeter socket and ratchet. I'm going to start taking the bolts out of the transmission pan next to drop the pan down and have access to the filter. Once you have all the bolts broken loose, it's pretty easy just to thread these out by hand. I definitely keep a little magnetic tray down here with me to drop the bolts in as we go. That way we don't lose them and they stay in place very well. We are down to the very last bolt. Hopefully I'm going to tilt this pan forward and the rest of this is going to drain into that catch basin and not all over my face. If nothing else, maybe Angel will be able to get this on footage and it would be a wonderful laugh. Alright, so with the pan dropped down, this big black plastic thing is the filter that we want. So kind of wiggle it. It's just stuck up in there with an O-ring. And then the last thing for me to do, I've got to scoot all the way forward and look up in there in that hole where the filter was placed and make sure I don't have an O-ring stuck up in there still. Otherwise, we're done down here. We'll take the pan outside, clean it up, and get it ready for the replacement. So this big black thing around the drain bolt is a magnet. So you're going to see a lot of stuff comes off. This is normal. It's just kind of comes with the wear of the clutches and everything. What you don't want to see is a whole pan bottom full of black sludge, metal fragments, or just things that look worse than this, really. So I'm just going to wipe this off really good, and then we'll be ready to put this back in. With the pan clean, we now have our brand new gasket. It goes just like this, but we got to hold it up in place to bolt it and it get put in the correct orientation. So let's go ahead and take this along with our new transmission filter, crawl back under the RV. We're going to put the transmission filter on first. Remember, it just snug fits into that hole with that O-ring. Then we'll lift the transmission pan and gasket up into place and start threading the bolts in a rotating fashion. So you don't want to start here and just crank them all down because you'll make the thing move. Start here, there, there, there. similar to how you do a wheel. Walk it around first, then you torque them down at the end. Alright, the new transmission filter pushes right up into place and stays put. Now we're going to finagle the transmission pan and the gasket up into place, remembering we're going to use the bolts to help align everything and keep everything properly laid out before we tighten anything at all. We have the wonderful stage of hand tightening all the bolts, working our way around the pan. Once this is done, then we will torque them in that star or alternating fashion like I mentioned earlier. So far so good though. It's not a complicated process. It's just difficult when it's overhead and you're crawling around on the gravel driveway. But I mean, the process in and of itself is pretty basic. So we're ready to go ahead and fill this back up. The transmission fluid I'm using is the Ford Motorcraft Mercon LV. It's what is the factory replacement and recommendation for this F53 chassis. I'm going to be using a squeeze pump siphon with the tube here as you see it to pump the fluid in to the fill cap or fill tube of where you fill it up. And as far as how much to put in, we've looked at how much we took out. There is a gauge on the side of the oil pan or transmission fluid pan which tells us around 7 quarts. So that's what we're going to put in to begin with. So right up here where the dipstick is, this is where you have to fill it in from. So work out the dipstick, pull it out of the way.
It's only like 10 feet long.
And now we can take the tube, fish it up in there, pretty good distance, and using the pump siphon, go ahead and transfer over 7 quarts. Well, we are done. And I mean, it took a while, but it wasn't complex. It was just not too easy to get under there, I guess.
No, it wasn't.
But hey, the oil is now changed, completely done, with the Fomoto valve on there. And the transmission fluid and filter has also been changed. So now, we need to get something for the RV. We need a logbook, because we need to write down the date and the mileage that we did all of this work, so that so many miles down the road, when our memories have faded, we can look back and see what exactly was done and when it was done.
Very much so. That's a good idea.
Thanks. It wasn't mine. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos on this, and logbooks are important.
I could understand why.
Are you done having fun for today?
I think so. I'm a little darker than I was before.
Little extra moisturization there, thanks to Motorcraft and, well, grime from the road. That's the way she goes. Well, guys, thanks for watching as always. If you got questions or comments, you know what to do.
Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there's a preview. Yeah, that or Sam sounds like a grocery bag underwear. He's got his grocery bag underwear on. That was the easier of the 2 projects we're doing today. Now, we get to drain the transmission pan. Crap. Amateur hour. Alright, you can turn it off. I'm just making it worse. It's like I wipe and I wipe. It's like I'm wiping with a marker. You know what this reminds me of?
Yes, it does.
Let's not break the new filter though.
Don't, please.
Yeah, you're good. There's a little on your forehead up there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then of course your arm, but you're fine.
So see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
We were so discombobulated on that one.
No.
Alright, I'm serious. Let's go drive this thing.
Okay.
Let me take you out to Shawnee's.
Shawnee's, shoot.
I don't know. I was trying to think of the
Denny's?
Denny's. There's not a Denny's over here.
No.
That's a North Carolina thing. There's the Awful Waffle.
No.
Waffle House.
No.
Come on. It's like truckers now. We got a big old truck chassis.
Nope.
Waffle House.